I think they're trying to say, well, Carlton actually had that crush before Ted and Nicole got married, but it's still weird. What's up, fellow Beyond the Gates fans? Happy Friday. Here to talk about today's Friday episode. Only our third episode this week. And well, I wouldn't consider it a filler Friday, I guess, because we did have two kind of important conversations. Although, if those two conversations were actually important, it kind of remains to be seen. But today had some themes at least, so I wouldn't totally call it a filler Friday, but like we're still getting these episodes that are just not super engaging and just a total lack of drama. This show lacks drama for it to be called a daytime drama. So we start with Kat looking at pics of her parents. Martin's there too. It's basically them reminiscing about their parents, but also last year when Leslie turned the anniversary party into a horror show. All of this, thinking back to last year, made me kind of sad about the state of affairs of this show, where last year for May Sweeps we had such a great build to some high dramatic storylines, a payoff, a climax. There's no possible storyline that can really give us that kind of stuff in May. I do think we'll probably get a climax for the Impaler storyline, but that storyline overall has been so bad that can it really be that good? I guess we'll see. Anyway, they talked about how they want to approach their parents to kind of talk to each other today. Kat wanted to dig deep with Nicole, thought that it would be a better idea if Martin talks to Ted, even though Martin and Ted don't spend a whole lot of time together. And then Martin and Kat kind of devolved into talking about Eva, since Kat let her stay at the birthday party. I guess Martin was hoping there was kind of less coldness there, but there's not, because we still have to deal with a Kat and Eva rivalry, even though it's gone nowhere and it's long been still there. But then they kind of got into a bickering match. Martin apologized because he's been going through it. This is because Martin is once again feeling bad for his past and Kenny's death and how it's going to be hard for him to run for Senate and all of that. That's one of our themes again in today's episode. A lot of the characters talking about Martin's past and how Joey actually literally helped Martin bury a dead body, kind of, or at least is one of the causes for that dead body. They also ended up talking about Shanice, and Kat says she likes Shanice, but that Ted will never find anyone like their mom again. I mean, I think between yesterday's episode and today's episode, they kind of wasted our time with the Shanice and Ted build to a relationship. Or I guess they wanted to show us that just Ted will never be shit, because Ted ain't shit. And the way they wrote him yesterday, Ted remains stupid when it comes to Leslie, and he's just not shit when it comes to relationships. Now, Nicole and Ted were both alone at the beginning of today's episode, reminiscing about their past together, thinking about that time that after their marriage had broken up and when they were going to get a divorce, and the time Ted and Nicole almost kissed and all of that. All of these memories between this couple. And I don't know if this episode was to try and make us root for Nicole and Ted to get back together, but there is so much work that they have to accomplish for now both characters in order for, I think, most of the fans to want to root for that. But Nicole stopped by Ted's office to wish him a happy anniversary and all of that. And Ted said it was adult of Nicole. And they ended up talking about how they miss the people that they used to be. Then for a while, like I said, their conversation kind of turned to Martin and how taking a life has been giving Martin nightmares for so long and how he doesn't have peace. He's riddled with guilt. And Nicole is very concerned about Joey because Joey was in on the Martin stuff, and who knows what Joey might want from Martin. Nicole also ended up saying that it would be a tragedy if Martin can't finish his ambitions in Congress and all of that because of what happened with Kenny. And as someone pointed out in the chat yesterday during the watch along, this is Vernon's fault because Vernon is the one that just wanted to have a massive cover up, even though Martin originally killed someone in self defense. Instead of just going to the police, now we have this big clusterfuck, and it really is Vernon's fault, which I guess kind of plays into Vernon and Joey's conversation, which we'll get to in a second. I also want to say in Ted and Nicole's conversation, when Ted was talking about how Martin might have squandered potential if his Congress ambitions don't happen, Ted talked about his own squandered potential in their romance and their relationship. And then he recalled when they first met and how that night Carlton also was interested in Nicole that first night they met. And he pointed Carlton in the wrong direction. And when Carlton was away, that's when Ted approached Nicole. I don't know if this is the show trying to make us feel like Carlton is less of a weirdo for having this crush on his friend's wife for so long. I think they're trying to say, well, Carlton actually had that crush before Ted and Nicole got married, but it's still weird after so long. I mean, Ted got the girl. For Carlton to still be wanting Nicole after all these years, I don't know. It was definitely not bros before hoes between Carlton and Ted, and that's Carlton's fault, which is why the fact that Ted and Carlton still act like they're friends is a bit too much for me. But by the end, Martin walked in on Ted and Nicole hugging. Ted saw Martin. That was, I guess, supposed to be our big Friday cliffhanger. But there hasn't been any proper build to Ted and Nicole finding their way back to each other. So it kind of just felt like them acknowledging that it would be Ted and Nicole's anniversary because of the big anniversary ordeal last year. But really all it made me do, and probably other fans of this show, is think about a better time on this show when this show was putting out better, more dramatic storylines. Vernon did end up meeting up with Joey to talk about the whole Martin situation. Joey thought he was going to be meeting with Elon, but it turns out that Elon set up this meeting between Joey and Vernon. Vernon was trying to call the shots when he first arrived, saying where they were going to sit to talk to each other. And then they talked about the past with Martin. Joey apologized for, kind of bringing up the people he could hire as like security to follow Smitty around. At first, Joey was playing nice, saying that he respects the way that Vernon and Martin stepped up to protect each other with the whole Kenny and his brother thing. And of course, Joey said he was happy to help. Vernon said that that was the problem with Joey, is that Joey enjoys the leverage he thinks he has. Joey promised not to speak about it anymore, like the joke he made to Nicole, but Vernon said that not talking about it doesn't mean that Joey forgets, and Joey admitted he's not forgetting it. He said that Martin owes him, and one day he is going to collect. Like I was talking about today during the watch along, Joey has all this information on people. He has blackmail on Leslie. He has this with Martin. He has information on Randy, Haley. He never uses any of it. Like, this is why I can't stop calling him Grandpa Gangster, because, we never see any emotion from this guy. Like, you're the big bad Joey. What are you going to do with all this? They're taking too long to give us some action with this Joey character that's supposed to be the big bad. But Joey told Vernon that he doesn't know exactly what he's going to get from Martin yet, what he's going to collect from Martin yet, but he did bring up that he helped Martin 3 times with the whole Kenny situation, including killing Kenny off, which Vernon still thought was too far. But going back to that storyline last summer, Vernon did not have a better idea than what Joey and Bill kind of ended up doing there. Then today, Vernon said that he's the one that set this all in motion for Martin, which is true. Like I was saying, it is all Vernon's fault that Martin is in this mess. And so Vernon is saying that the debt should be his and not Martin's. Vernon says that Martin would quit Congress before becoming Joey's puppet. Vernon was saying he has all these connections and power too, that he could help Joey if Joey needed a favor. Vernon told Joey to leave Martin alone and to leave his family alone. And when he wants to cash in a favor, Joey needs to come to Vernon first. So Vernon is trying to take this debt off of Martin with Joey and all of that. I don't know if this conversation worked on Joey. I don't know if Joey sees Vernon as more valuable for a favor than Martin. I guess maybe we'll find out one day if they ever decide to move a story along. I guess we'll see. Last thing on today was Tomas and Bill out talking about Lynette. Tomas still searching for Lynette, trying to find out if she's running and who she's running from. Dani and Andre ended up at Orphe Jean's, which of course that's where Bill and Tomas were. Dani had her and Andre approach the table, and of course Simp Andre was going to go along with that. And Dani asked Bill if he's still looking for Lynette, so Bill found out that Tomas ended up telling Dani some information about the Lynette situation. Dani was giddy to tell Bill the information that she ran into Lynette and Haley one day and that they were quite chummy. Of course, in typical brain-dead Bill fashion, he does not think anything of the Lynette and Haley connection, saying that he's the one that introduced Haley to Lynette, so they can't have some old friendship together. Bill just loud and wrong per usual. Bill was not upset with Tomas that he ended up telling Dani some information, because he said that Dani being fiercely protective of her family was something he used to love about her. Chelsea and Naomi ended up joining Andre and Dani for breakfast. Bill was distracted by the family together. We've seen that kind of scene with Bill so many times now. But yet, the Bill and Haley storyline feels like it's stuck in the same place, even though Bill continues to have these scenes where the Dupree family's out, Bill's missing Dani, missing the family vibes. But when Andre slipped out, Bill tried to join them. Naomi did something good for once and took Bill away from the table, saying that she wanted to discuss Madison's case, but really she just wanted to pull him away. They also continue to give these hints that Dani's going to end up getting pregnant with Andre's baby. They kind of did that again today. They did that last week too. I kind of hope that doesn't happen, but it always could. And then the last thing in my notes is when Tomas and Kat were going over some of Lynette's old victims. Kat seemed to notice one of them, saying that she knows one of the women in the photos. So I guess that will have something to do with next week, where there is a spoiler, but I won't spoil it now. It's kind of random, and I don't think it's gonna lead to us getting any closer to figuring out if Lynette is alive or dead or not. But that was today's episode. That was our short week. We will have another short week next week because of soccer, which I'm not going to complain about. Because if the show's going to continue to be boring, I would kind of rather we continue to have 3 episodes a week. They've got to start giving us some action, some drama. These storylines got to go somewhere. As people were complaining about in the live chat today during the watch along, will we end any of these storylines? I do think we'll end some of the Impaler storyline in May. At least that's kind of wishful thinking, because it's time to wrap that shit up. But some of these more long-term storylines, will they wrap up? That remains to be seen. I'll be back Sunday to discuss next week's preview. I will say it was very Nicole heavy, which is not exciting. So, yeah.